and especially Minister Nimrod. We really appreciate your being here. I wanted to ask Mr. Chang, you had said in your testimony, you used the term first island chain when discussing hypothetical conventional war with China. Mr. Chang, could you elaborate on what you mean by first island chain in that scenario?
Yes, sir. The first island chain is a term often applied to the string of islands that begins with the Japanese home islands in the north, through Okinawa, the Senkakus, Taiwan, Philippines, down to Singapore. That set of islands, ranging from 100 to a bit more than 100 miles off of the Chinese coast, serves either as a barrier or a shield. If it is in the hands of American allies, then in that case, it limits the ability of the Chinese to surge into the Pacific, to attack sea lanes, to strategically isolate Taiwan, Japan, South Korea. If it is in Chinese hands, then it serves to shield China's strategic and economic center of gravity, which is now on its coast, from possible attacks from the United States. In friendly to the U.S. hands, it is a deterrent to Chinese aggression. In Chinese hands, it provides basically a means of guaranteeing their security. The second island chain, which stretches from the Aleutians through Guam, the Republic of the Marshall Islands, Federated States of Micronesia, etc., down to Papua New Guinea, is sometimes referred to as a second island chain. It represents an additional set of territories from which the United States and allies might be able to concentrate forces safely, establish intelligence surveillance of Chinese activities, and also provides additional space and other surveillance capacities.
Well, thank you. Well, in that context, then, do you think the Chinese Communist Party sees the Republic of Marshall Islands as ensuring their security?
Should they be able to influence the Republic of the Marshall Islands, Palau, the Federated States of Micronesia? Absolutely. It would give them a further ability to push us back to Hawaii. It would basically guarantee their dominance of the Western Pacific. And let me note here, that means the industries of the Western Pacific, including computers, microchips, semiconductors, etc. It would allow them to have what we have right now, which is strategic depth and ability to see things coming, whether in space or terrestrially. So absolutely, all of the Central Pacific island states are potentially key targets for Chinese influence operations and strategic gain.
Well, if China, say hypothetically, were to make a move on Taiwan militarily, could you envision them moving on the Marshall Islands at some point?
Not at the same time in all likelihood, but that region would almost certainly be in the target basket for Chinese intermediate range ballistic missiles, which can range as far as Guam. The DF-26 we know can do that. There have been recent tests, of course, of Chinese hypersonic vehicles. That would be something that I would expect to target American systems in the region west of Hawaii, which would obviously potentially include the Republic of the Marshall Islands. There would also be cyber and other efforts to terrorize and attack any state that did not basically align with the Chinese.
See, well, let me ask, and this has been a matter of confusion, and my time is very short, but was there more radioactive damage to the Marshall Islands than to a combination of Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
Who are you asking, sir?
Oh, Mr. Chang, if you can.
I am not a nuclear physicist, and I do not work for the Department of Energy. What I would say is that the yield for a number of these devices, including the Castle Bravo test, was significantly larger than Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But of course, Hiroshima and Nagasaki were urban targets and also military targets in time of war. There were not people at ground zero in the Marshalls. Let me also note here that while Castle Bravo was the largest American test at 15 megatons, it actually was smaller than 4 other tests conducted by the Soviet Union, which ranged as high as 50 megatons.
Well, but thank you. My time's expired. Appreciate it, Chair.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.